Hello internet viewers, the Ginger Geek here, this time with a game review. I'll be doing a lot more of these in the coming months, weeks, years, whatever. But we're going to launch with an obscure review of Deadly Premonition. Deadly Premonition being an obscure game due to its cult status. A budget game released exclusively for 360, however it was released on PS3 in Japan if you're willing to import. It is really strange. Probably one of the strangest games I've ever played. Looking at the reviews aggregate score for this game will tell you how strange it is, really. The mixed reception is really representative of its content. Destructor gave it a 10 out of 10, IGN I think gave it a 2 out of 10, and the scores just keep on going like that, with some praising it as an absolute masterpiece and others as absolute trash. I can see why. The mechanics of the game basically play like a Resident Evil 4 style shooter, you know, over the shoulder view, crossed with open world car gameplay. I know, it's strange, but the strangeness does not stop there. The real beauty of this game is in its absolute oddball cast of characters. The main character, Francis York Morgan, who you play as, is mental. For absolutely no reason whatsoever that the game feels no need to explain, he has a mate that exists only in his head he refers to as Zack. He constantly talks to this character in front of other characters, to which they do not question.
You don't have to be a tree worshipper to appreciate the wildlife here.
Zack, let's reassess the situation. There are no cavemen here. We're as far forward as the Middle Ages. And we've just met the king.
And he's a massive cinephile, to the point where the first time he starts talking about movies, you're just really thrown. It comes out of nowhere and then it's permanent the rest of the game. He just talks about movies randomly throughout the whole game, like as if he's reading from a Wikipedia extract, quoting such things as the director, the date it was made, and the different performances in it. But it really does not stop there.
Hey, remember? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Filmed in 1978. Produced, directed, written, and edited by John DeBello. It was really awful, but for some reason I still remember it pretty well. It had so many sequels, and the original was re-released in '95. The 87-minute long theatrical release bumped up to a whopping 90 minutes.
The best thing about this game is the main guy isn't the strangest one. It is so cool because you cannot get over the fact of every single character in the game, with absolutely no exception, has one really strange idiosyncrasy that none of the other characters have. For example, the sheriff, another main character, is compulsively irritating and randomly at times over-dramatic, flailing his arms wildly.
Very well. Then I'll ride with you. I want to keep an eye on you.
Fair enough.
His deputy, Thomas, is overtly camped and for some reason knows loads on squirrels.
Pleasure to meet you, Agent Morgan. We've been expecting you. I'm Thomas McLean, the sheriff's assistant. Found the key.
I think so. Is this it?
You don't know your squirrels, do you? This isn't the right key holder. This is a Siberian flying squirrel. It's closer to a land-based squirrel. The Siberian flying squirrel is larger than the southern flying squirrel and has a standing tail, while the southern has a hanging tail. But we're looking for a southern flying squirrel right now.
You sure do know a lot about squirrels.
The twins, who are part of a main plot point, are the only normal things, but they double as creepy angels. Polly, the hotel owner, a fairly insignificant character, thinks you're coming on to her at one point and for some reason owns a really big table.
Polly, it might help to hear you better if you could sit a little closer.
Oh my, Mr. Morgan, you're embarrassing me. So early in the day, too. I think I'm a little too old for you.
And I still love my departed husband. May God rest his soul. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm fine over here.
Polly, I can hardly hear you from all the way over there.
You're exaggerating. This is fine. It won't do to be all clumped together with such a large table and cafeteria. We have to make use of all this space.
Dr. Usha, who you meet like once in the game, is the bloody riddler, setting up random riddles based around chess pieces that you must solve before you can meet him. And these aren't the strangest people.
The knight takes a pawn along for the queen.
What does that all mean?
It's a simple puzzle.
Zach, let's take him up on his challenge. You can do this, right?
Usha, sorry to keep you waiting.
Ah, you made it. Let's get started, shall we?
There's Freckly Fiona, who was randomly introduced in the game and so unpleasant to look at you lose all your stamina after you've had a conversation with her.
Do you know where he is?
I think Dr. Johnson is in the computer room. Thank you, Agent York.
One of the main plot points of the game revolves around the character of Mr. Stewart, for example. Old man who owns the whole town and refuses to go out without his gas mask on. He's pushed around in a wheelchair by his equally as strange aide, who speaks for him, rhyming in everything he says, and ends every sentence with, "So says Mr. Stewart."
Mr. Francis York Morgan, haste won't lead you to what you seek. Keep your eyes focused on your footing as we speak. So says Mr. Stewart.
It's phenomenal. It's so strange. It's hilarious, yet it never boils to a point where you're laughing at the game. You feel like you're laughing with it and at it at the same time, if that makes any sense. It's so phenomenally strange that you can't quite grasp why you're so engrossed in it. Even when the mechanics are bland and at points the game's really slow, and I mean really, really slow at times, you can't help but keep playing it because you just want to see whatever it throws at you next. It's not even the characters who are weird, it's everything. For example, why do I have a stamina bar while driving? Why can I investigate everything? Why are random mechanics thrown in, such as the ability to clean my clothes? And why can I look through windows when it adds absolutely nothing? The fact that this such a thing is present intrigues me, and that is how you will feel when playing the game. You keep playing it and playing it and playing it just to see what you could possibly do next. All these random like mini games are thrown in. Like there's a chess challenge with the doctor, and all in all, the game, by being as strange as possible, compels you to go right through it, and you really love everybody in it, for as weird as they are. There's side things like fishing and darts, and I just don't understand how all these things link together, yet somehow in their own unique and oddball way they do, to make something that is technically the worst game I've ever played, but probably one of the most enjoyable too. This has been Ginger Geek with a review for geekyglasses.info.